Today, I just kind of wanted to sit and talk to you as a medical professional and what your experience has been. If you could tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Sure. So by my occupation, I am an occupational therapist. I work at St. Mary's Hospital in Wicker Park, and I work in rehab, the rehab department, really working with the rehabilitation of patients for any disease or illness or operation, stuff like that. So it's rehabilitative therapy that I do.
How has the pandemic of COVID-19 affected you, both personally and professionally?
Oh, man, right? Who hasn't it affected? It's affected everyone. For me personally, it really affected me from the very beginning, even before Chicago was under lockdown, if you will, shelter in place. I had just gotten back from spending a few months in Spain where my boyfriend lives. And I was made to furlough. I was made to quarantine, self-isolate for 2 weeks. And I was already supposed to be on the schedule at work. So I lost 2 weeks of income. I'm in a long distance relationship. So we're about to celebrate our 1-year anniversary on May 5th. And the original plan was for him to come here to Chicago and for us to spend some time together. And we had other ideas too of times that we wanted to come see each other and spend time together. And now we can't do that. We kind of just stopped talking about it. Work has just completely changed. It's just a different place now. As we try to meet the demands of the patients that come in and with the virus.
Obviously, there's probably not occupational therapy going on now during this pandemic. And you are still working at the hospital. What are you doing there?
So there is actually therapy going on in the hospital right now. 2 things. One, they did close down a rehab unit. We usually have a rehab unit of 15 patients. They shut the rehab part of the hospital down right now because of the pandemic. We want to keep our rehab patients safe from being infected with the virus. But we still do see patients on the other units. So we're still, our hospital is still servicing people who have strokes and other things that are happening, heart attacks and, your things that people go to a hospital for. So we're just seeing a lot less as we get more COVID patients. We're seeing a lot less of our normal kind of patients, if that makes sense. So that being said, because we have a lot less patients that we're actually seeing for therapy, we're getting a lot less orders from our doctors because we're using all of our resources right now to fight this pandemic. I have volunteered to be deployed to work in other areas of the hospital. And the major thing that I've been deployed to that I've been doing for the last 2 weeks is to refit the entire hospital with the new N95 masks that we have been given. So basically what I do is I make sure that the mask fits them, that they know how to refit it after the fit test, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. I teach them how to put it on, take it off properly so as to avoid cross-contamination. And then I teach them how to store it and how to dispose of it. So That's basically what I've been doing for the last 2 weeks.
So then how would you describe a typical day that you would go to work?
A typical day for me now is I basically I'm in a room, a pretty big room, where we are occupying, the fitters of the hospital are occupying the ICU waiting room. Since we're no longer allowing visitors in the hospital, we're taking this room because it allows us to, it's a big enough room so that there can be multiple people in there, but still socially distancing. So we've separated chairs so that when people come in to fill out their forms to be fitted for the new mask, they can be distanced from each other. And I basically am working with anyone and everyone in the hospital, nurses, doctors, from all aspects, from the birth and family place, from anesthesiology, surgery, respiratory therapy, ICU, CCU, like at literally every unit in the hospital, and at any level of care, of the housekeeping, for example. All of those people are coming, they fill out this form, and we fit them for a mask. And that's basically just like that all day long, for 8 hours.
I do want to, since I do know that you do the fit testing for the masks, I'm hoping that you could give us a little step-by-step tutorial on what that looks like. I'm sure everybody would love to see, you know, on the front lines, how people are actually getting fitted. Because, you know, you see in the grocery stores everywhere and out and about, people have these masks on, some have bandanas, but I would like an actual medical professional to let us know exactly how the fit testing works. So if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. So I was tested for an N95 respirator. It's model 8511, made by 3M. So I have my hand gel over here handy. So I'm just going to sanitize before I do this, which is part of the process, right? So you want to make sure that you have sanitized hands. Now, our caregivers they have their own whole like PPE doffing situation. Okay. So basically what I teach, so here's my mask. I teach them how to put it on. I'm going to take my glasses off.
Sure.
That's just helpful for me. So this is the way that you put it on. The hand goes under the straps like this. I'm actually going to bend just a little bit, bend the wire. It's going to be easier for me to adjust it to my face once I get it on. So the important thing is not to touch the inside of the mask right now, okay? So this strap goes to the crown of my head, like this. And this one goes to the nape of my neck. Now that I've got it on, I'm gonna adjust it. I don't want it up in my eyes like this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna give a good seal on either side of my nose. The next thing I have people do, does it feel like any air is escaping? No, I have a good seal, no air is escaping. The next thing I do, unfortunately, I can't demonstrate here, but we have a big plastic round hood that we put on over their head and face. And there's a little hole inside the hood where I spray some really horrible tasting solution. And the idea is that you're not, with different movements of the head, shake your head a few times, I spray the solution. Do you taste anything bad? No. Okay, head up and down, head up and down. This is getting movement in the mask and trying to make sure that that bitter solution is not getting in. Okay, now I'm going to have you count from 1 to 20. 1, 2, 3. They keep counting. I spray some more. If at any time during this movement, that movement, inhale, exhale, or counting, they taste the bitter solution, then we know this mask is not a good fit for them. And then we move on from there. We decide, can we adjust? Can we fit this person in another mask? So we have a couple of options for that too.
And how long? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. So taking it off, I teach them, pull this one from the back of your head, meet it with the other one, only touching the strings, pull away from your face and down, only touching the strings.
Okay.
And then it's really important when you're taking the mask off that you don't touch the outer part of the mask. You only want to touch the strings, and then it goes immediately into everyone in the hospital now is carrying around these brown paper bags where we're storing our masks. So
Okay.
that's basically the donning and doffing of it.
And how long does that process take?
For me to do the whole test,
Yes.
it depends. It shouldn't really take any longer than like 3 minutes. Let's say 3 to 5 minutes, but sometimes they taste and sometimes they do taste the solution, and we have to take it off. We have to readjust. We have to look at the straps, how it is around. We have to look at the structure of the face. Like, do we have another mask that would be good? Right now we have several different masks for them to get fit into.
Mm-hmm.
And so we move to a different mask if we have to, if they don't fit into that one.
Okay.
So that's kind of the process. Sometimes it takes 5 to 10 minutes, just depending on how they do with the fit testing. So.
And if the mask that you originally put on does not work, they tasted some of the bitter solution, that gets thrown out? Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, because it's not going to protect them.
Gotcha.
It's not going to protect them if they go into a patient with COVID.
Okay. Well, that is very educational. It looks like it definitely takes a lot. So, I definitely appreciate you helping all the frontline workers make sure their masks fit well. As far as what I do and the clients that we represent, this disease is very, very scary. Mesothelioma and lung cancer with asbestos exposure affects the lungs. For someone who is battling that, it's scary to think that it could be so much worse if they are exposed to this. So I guess as a medical professional, what do you want to tell people as far as those that maybe do have those underlying issues and how to go about, continuing with their day? For cancer patients, for example, do they still go to treatment? Should they do only telemedicine? I've heard a lot about that. What are your kind of opinions for that population that does have those underlying issues, such as cancer, that still need to go see their doctor potentially?
I mean, sheltering in place as much as possible. Telehealth is really good. I have a really close friend of mine right now who has cancer in New Zealand, one of the countries that is actually handling this crisis quite well.
Mm-hmm.
And she and I actually talk about these things. And, while we're fighting against this pandemic, these people are still fighting for their lives.
Mm-hmm.
They've already been handed down a sort of diagnosis, some of them a life sentence, let's say. That sounds really harsh to say, but you know what I mean.
I do.
And I think that I don't know if I feel ready to really answer that question. Like, this one particular friend of mine, she's been in the hospital for the last 24 days, I think.
Okay.
But she's allowed to go home to sleep.
Okay.
So she goes to the hospital every single day.
For
And that's
treatment?
when they do their, not for cancer treatment right now. The cancer treatment that she was using, immunotherapy, has hurt her. It's caused damage to her liver. So they're trying to get her liver function back to a more normalized liver function. So she goes every single day to the hospital, and she goes home every single night. I think that it is important to try for these people particularly to try to alter and change some of their habits in like transportation, access to family members, stuff like that, in order for them to just be more protected.
Sure.
It's a really at-risk population. This would be an amazing question for my boss, because one of her deployments has been doing the screening in our cancer center.
Oh, okay.
I know. So I'd actually love to like shift this conversation over to her. She sends me messages all the time, like she's really trying to educate them. Like, your husband shouldn't come with you to your cancer treatment. I know that that's what you're used to, but right now it's better for him to stay home. You know, your husband is elderly too. And every time he goes out to bring you here, he's putting himself at risk. And so I think those are some conversations that she's having with people. But yeah, sorry, I don't know if that was very helpful, but
that's perfect. Sharon, have you found that there are any moments while you were at work that have really stood out to you during this not new, or this new norm, if you will?
Okay. Yeah, I think it's really interesting, because as you were asking me questions about like, what does it look like to come to the hospital now? And I talked to you about it, and I'm kind of like, it has become the new normal. And I think we're already almost developing a bit of a desensitization to the new normal. And what just really impresses me so much, and not just at work, but just in general, is to watch the amazing resilience of humanity. I watch people just sort of rubber banding themselves back into how they can maintain a sense of normal in this global pandemic. And people are Zooming, they're Zoom yoga, and they're sharing their online workouts for free with people, or they're developing new businesses or business ideas, or artists are gaining new inspiration for creation of poetry, of photography, of all sorts of. I'm just amazed as I just like wake up every day and go to the hospital to work and come home, and I see that other people's lives are going on in a new normal too. And it's just a really, really interesting thing to watch.
I love it. Thank you. In closing, Sharon, and thank you so much for taking the time. But I'd like to ask this question, and I think it's important. What positives do you think will come from this pandemic, both in your hospital, in your personal life, and to the world, maybe, or to Chicago?
I really do hope that we can learn from this pandemic in terms of like a man. I want to say things about vaccines, and I want to say things about hand hygiene, and I want to say these kinds of things like right now, everyone keeps talking about how horrible the flu is, and how many people are infected by the flu, and how many people die of the flu. And I think that it's true. We have so many millions worldwide affected by it, but we're not taking enough precaution to be able to stop the spread, right? We're not probably performing enough hand hygiene during flu season. We're probably not wearing a mask if we feel sick ourselves, and therefore we are infecting others. We're not staying home, or like allowing ourselves to rest when some of us have to, right? Because the flu can be really, really bad. But like, I feel like the vaccine, for example, everyone is so like, everyone wants this vaccine, right? This vaccine for COVID.
Mm-hmm.
There is a vaccine for the flu. There is, and we're not taking it. Well, I have to take it. Everyone in healthcare has to have the flu vaccine, but like, there are options, right, to prevent getting the flu, not just the vaccine, but also some of these other things that we're doing right now to prevent the spread of COVID. So I'm really hoping to see those kinds of things start to take place. I'm really hoping that we can reshift our mentality and rewire the way that our country provides healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that we can see the disparities in some of our minority populations. And African Americans are dying for a reason. They have underlying comorbidities, health problems, right? And a lot of it is because they don't have the access. Anyway, it could get political, right? Or it could get, but these are my desires. I hope that we can, I hope from that perspective, I really hope that we can change some of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also just hoping that on a personal level, that we can use this time to really look inward, and heal some of these things, some of the suffering in the world, let's say, through that inward look that we're taking about how we want to be as people. Like, what do you want? Like, how can we be better? And I just really hope that that's something that comes out of this, you know?
Sharon, is there anything else that you want to add?
I don't think so. I know everybody is experiencing the same global pandemic, but everyone's experiencing it in a different way.
Sure.
And I think being compassionate to that is really the key into maintaining a really genuine relationship with people. And yeah, I think that's it.
Sharon, thank you so much. I really appreciate the time and your insight. And from me and everyone at Vogel Sang Law, stay safe and healthy. Thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.